Welcome back to AI Pulse, your AI news made by AI. Today, we're diving into an absolutely wild third week of May 2026. In this explainer, we're tracing the massive ripple effects of some truly paradigm-shifting developments. The volume of news over the last few days is just immense. We've seen industry-defining models drop, global markets scramble, and courts actively stepping in to protect human workers. So, let's break it all down together.
Here is the roadmap for today's explainer. We're kicking off with how frontier models are completely reshaping the race. Then we'll look at Mythos and the escalating cyber threat. After that, we'll break down some crazy market upsets and IPO volatility. And finally, wrap up with global regulation and worker rights.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, Frontier Models Reshape the Race, and the catalyst sparking this week's massive shifts.
Look, we are officially leaving the old era of GPT-5 and open-source Llama in the rearview mirror. We have crossed the threshold into a brand new era dominated by agentic reasoning. That means AI that doesn't just sit there and answer your questions, but actually takes independent actions to achieve goals. We're seeing this right now in OpenAI's GPT-6 and Meta's proprietary Muse Spark. If there's one massive takeaway for you today, it's that the AI landscape is shifting at warp speed. What was cutting edge just a few months ago? Totally legacy now. The focus has entirely shifted from simply generating text to true, multi-step agentic reasoning.
Just look at how far OpenAI has pushed the envelope here. GPT-6 absolutely crushed previous expectations. It's sporting a native 10 million token context window, and they've aggressively slashed input pricing down to just $2.50 per million tokens. Sam Altman is literally calling this the very first system that can credibly finish a full knowledge worker day end-to-end. I mean, we're talking about state-of-the-art scores like 74.9% on SW Bench. This thing doesn't just answer your prompts, it plans, executes, verifies, and self-corrects using its own browser and terminal tools.
And while OpenAI pushes forward, Meta has pulled a massive pivot. They've actually killed off their famous open-source Llama line to launch Muse Spark. It's a closed-weight, multimodal reasoning model built by their newly minted super intelligence labs. This is a huge deal, right? Meta was the undisputed champion of the open-source AI movement, but facing brutal competition from Chinese open models like DeepSeek, they completely restructured. Muse Spark brings deep agentic behaviors and visual reasoning. They even trained it alongside over 1,000 physicians for health applications. But the kicker? You can no longer download the weights. The open-source champion has officially gone fully proprietary.
Which brings us to Section 2, Mythos and the Cyber Threat. We're looking at the urgent defender versus attacker arms race.
Okay, take a look at this number, 271. Anthropic has developed a highly restricted model they're calling Mythos, and it independently discovered a staggering 271 zero-day vulnerabilities in the Mozilla Firefox browser in just 2 months. Guys, these are critical flaws that even Firefox's own developers had absolutely no clue existed. Just let the implications of that sink in for a second. We now have an AI that can automatically audit and expose critical holes in our foundational digital infrastructure with almost zero false positives.
And this highlights a genuinely terrifying dilemma. One of our sources perfectly captured it with this quote: "If a model can find vulnerabilities, who's using it first, the defender or the attacker?" This isn't just some theoretical sci-fi risk anymore. Google's threat intelligence team recently caught a group of criminal hackers actively using AI to find and weaponize zero days. If this level of tech gets out into the wild, hackers could outpace human defenders by orders of magnitude, threatening everything from banking all the way to healthcare.
So naturally, the cybersecurity fallout has been intense. Anthropic is putting strict locks on Mythos, only vetting approved defenders for access. And yeah, that is severely frustrating EU regulators who want access to audit the model themselves. Meanwhile, tech giants are absolutely scrambling. Microsoft Azure is actively evaluating over 11,000 different AI models to secure their software development. They've realized the real danger isn't just a single rogue model, but multi-agent frameworks built by non-technical users that are super vulnerable to prompt injection attacks.
All right, let's pivot to Section 3, Market Upsets and IPO Volatility. How these tech and security shifts actually translate into dollars. According to the Ramp AI Index, which tracks billions in corporate card spending, Anthropic has officially overtaken OpenAI in business adoption for the very first time. They've captured 34.4% of the market, edging out OpenAI's 32.3%. This is a stunning reversal. Over just the last year, Anthropic managed to quadruple its business adoption. To me, this just proves how wildly dynamic the AI software industry is right now. Vendor stickiness basically means nothing when the underlying technology is advancing this fast.
But it's not all smooth sailing. Anthropic is facing some major headwinds if they want to keep that lead. The data highlights misaligned business incentives, severe compute constraints that are causing user rate limits, and a recent model update that literally triples token costs for any prompt that includes an image. And believe me, businesses are noticing. Take Uber, for example. Their CTO just announced they have already blown through their entire 2026 AI budget, and it's only May. If Anthropic isn't careful here, cost-conscious companies are going to quickly route their workflows over to cheaper inference platforms and models.
Speaking of dollars, tracking the IPO timeline for AI chipmaker Cerebras, we saw some massive volatility this week. They debuted at $185, absolutely skyrocketed to a peak of $350 on Thursday, and then came tumbling back down to close roughly around $280 by Friday. They raised over $5.5 billion, pushing their market cap north of $100 billion. But as the dust settled, the market really started scrutinizing what was actually underneath the hood of this red-hot debut.
And here is the crucial point. Investors quickly realized there's a massive concentration risk at play. Cerebras was trading at nearly 200 times its trailing sales. For context, NVIDIA trades at around 27 times. And sure, Cerebras boasts a massive $24.6 billion order backlog. But get this, an incredible $20 billion of that is tied up in a single cloud computing agreement with OpenAI. And that specific contract comes with some very strict delay-based exit provisions. It is a wildly high-stakes, highly concentrated gamble.
Let's move into our final segment, Section 4, Global Regulation and Worker Rights, Grounding the AI Race in Human Reality.
Over in Europe, lawmakers have actually hit the brakes, pushing back strict enforcement of the landmark AI Act all the way to 2027. This delay gives tech firms and startups a much-needed grace period to figure out compliance for high-risk system oversight. Regulators essentially realize that coming down too hard, too fast could completely stifle local innovation. Plus, member states just weren't technically equipped to police such a rapidly evolving field yet, so they're taking a breath to build up proper, robust oversight bodies.
But while lawmakers hit pause on the ground, the immediate human impact of AI is already playing out in real courtrooms. It's raising a deeply personal, crucial question for everyday workers. Can you be legally fired just because a company implements an AI that can do your job?
Well, we actually got a definitive answer from a landmark Chinese court ruling this week. A tech firm was legally blocked from firing a quality control manager. His job was filtering copyright content, a task the company had successfully automated with an upgraded AI system. The firm tried to slash his salary in half and then fire him, citing corporate restructuring. But the court stepped in and ruled that adopting AI is a voluntary business decision. It is not an unavoidable force of nature. Because of that, AI cannot be used as a legal loophole to bypass labor protections. Companies can't just immediately lay off staff without following proper procedures and offering fair relocation options. So from OpenAI's new agentic GPT-6 writing its own code to Anthropic's Mythos hunting zero-day bugs in the dark, this week's news proves the technology is accelerating faster than ever before. It leaves us with a profound question to end on. As these frontier models achieve true agentic reasoning, are we building our perfect defenders or engineering our own replacements? Definitely something to chew on as you process this week's developments. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.